how it's going to work. And but I'll have to give Arrow Mclaren the credit, because they had a plan and we looked at it, and so we're starting to execute. Today was one of those days, and Kyle's been in the simulator some, and hopefully we'll be here in October for the rookie deal. And so the sponsor was no problem. So we're just really excited, to think we can partner with a world-class team that has tremendous speed and reputation. I feel very, very fortunate. Number one, I wanted to own the car, but I had to have a partner that could to make it work. And so Gavin and his team, everybody there, Zach, have been so helpful, and we feel like we've been together longer than 6 months. But it's an exciting time and something all of us have dreamed about. And of course, Kyle put a lot of pressure on me, but I'm used to that with sprint cars. But no, it's all good. We're real excited. Do it with Chevrolet too. Never raced anything but a Chevrolet, and so we can do that. And again, we're real honored to be able to even come participate in this event. So we're excited.
Gavin, we'll turn to you. Maybe you talk about the process a little bit more as we make this dream a reality, and the sim runs that Mr. H talked about, seat fitting and so on. Where do you guys stand right now?
Yeah, we've got the seat fit done. We've done some laps in the sim. We're getting ready to, as Mr. H mentioned, do some first real running here in October. But our goal is just to build up and get as much prep and seat time as we can. Just to hit the ground running and be as prepared as possible come May.
Absolutely. And Kyle, first of all, congratulations. You got in, 4 a.m. or so, fresh off of Knoxville. With each step, this becomes more a reality. How do you manage the anticipation, the excitement of all this, knowing full well you've got another job here before you with the NASCAR Cup Series?
Yeah, no, I'm extremely excited, but at the same time, I'm so busy that racing and trying to take care of my family that I haven't, it hasn't really set in yet that it's truly a reality. When you have days like today and you unveil the car, all those little steps, it definitely makes it seem more real. But I'm sure once things slow down in the off season, I have a lot of time to sit around and think about the upcoming season is when it's really going to hit. And I'm sure that's when all the nervousness will start to creep in, and but as well as the excitement. So I look forward to prepping even more. I definitely obviously look forward to October and getting to do the rookie orientation. I have thought about that a little bit, so I am nervous when I do think about that. But I think once I get in the car, a lot of those nerves will hopefully go away after a few laps, and it'll feel like home, just like all the other race cars I drive.
One more before we open it up for questions. Anything surprise you about the process here, or about IndyCar thus far?
Not really. I mean, I think just kind of how easy it's all been as far as going to fit the seat and all that. I thought it'd be a full day process, and it was like an hour. So it's like, really? So we're done? And so it's just stuff like that. But I know it's going to get way more in depth as we get more into it. They were obviously so focused, on what they had upcoming, getting ready for the Indy 500 with the teams that they were running. And it was nice to get to come here, kind of, listen to some radio communication, just to get to see all their hospitality, stuff like that in May. I think that's just getting eyes on stuff a year in advance will hopefully, make things a little less overwhelming, for next year. So I thought that was really important to come to a practice day and then also get to come to the race for a little while, just to get reminded of how crazy this place becomes, with all the people and the ceremonies and all of that. So I think getting eyes on it all was good, and will hopefully knock some of the edge off next year.
Two more people I want to recognize. Say hi to Doug Bowles, president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doug, and of course Greg Walter, the executive vice president and GM at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you for being here as well. We'll open up for questions. We have roving microphones on either side, so just raise your hand. We'll begin here in the front row with Bruce, and then we'll go to Jordan on the other side.
Mr. H, you've always been a stock car guy, but what does the Indianapolis 500 represent to you?
Well, it's, I think Daytona and the Indy 500, and I got to do the 24 hours of Le Mans. So I'm kind of getting my bucket full here. And, I never dreamed I'd go to Daytona in a stock car. And so we're coming up on 40 years next year. And this is such an unbelievable place. And that in Charlotte doing the 600 in this race, it's going to be unbelievable. We all talked about it. Kyle wanted to do it, and we're just very fortunate that Arrow Mclaren were able to put it together for us. And so I can't wait to have that car in the museum.
And also, early in your career, you had an Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year drive for you, Tim Richmond.
Yeah.
Did he ever tell you a lot of tales and stories about what it was like?
Tim Richmond told me a lot of tales. He just said it was cool, and he's talent a lot like Kyle. He just wants to race anything, drive anything, and but no, he never spent much time telling me about this race.
And this is for Gavin and Kyle. The fact that GM Technical Center is in Huntersville, how big of an advantage will that be for Kyle to work on the simulator?
It's already been an advantage. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, just walking across the road for Kyle. So, we're down there all the time, working at the GM Performance Center on our program. So, yeah, it makes it pretty handy when we've got a day or got some time and get Kyle over there.
Yeah, no, it's I when I'm in town, I work out there in the morning. So I spend a lot of time at the Chevy Center. May just be in the gym, but yeah, it's nice. You work out and walk downstairs and hop in the simulator. So that facility is state of the art too. I mean, it is truly amazing. They did an amazing job with it. So, and yeah, it's right next door to HMS as well. So it's all right there. Everything I need, and yeah, I look forward to spending more time in it just to try and prep as much as possible.
Jordan, and then we'll go Wolfgang, and then Nathan. Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Rick, have you been down the road before in putting together an IndyCar program, or is this the first time that it's really gotten serious?
Yeah, Jeff Gordon and I talked about it, but he wasn't really keen. He was so focused on driving a Cup car. And but this is the first time that we really got serious with it. And so Roger and I have talked about it for years. I actually had a sticker on his car a couple of years back. And but no, this is the first real effort that we said, hey, let's go do it.
And then Kyle, what is your impressions of being in IndyCar when you've been in the sim and everything, and where have you done laps?
Well, so I did Mid Ohio, and it was I would say, like, when I first got in it, I thought I would be out of control and in the grass, all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm doing all right. Like, I feel like I got into a rhythm, and they were just, the engineers and stuff were staying pretty quiet, and just they would chime in like, hey, everything looks good. Just keep working on your braking zones and stuff. I'm like, okay, more brake pressure, whatever, go a little deeper. Like, yeah, that's a little better. I'm like, well, how much more do I need? And they're like, well, you need about 1,000 more pounds of brake pressure. I'm like, what? Like, so the max brake pressure there was like 2,800 pounds. That's insane. I've never pushed anything that hard. Like, for instance, here into turn one, we'd be like 800 pounds of brake pressure max. So trying to get your brain wrapped around slamming the pedal that hard and releasing it quickly, but also like maintaining some was just super difficult for me. I couldn't ever figure it out, and felt like I regressed once I got closer to the max brake pressure stuff. So, and then, yeah, Felix Rosenquist, he showed up and was way faster than me. So it was starting to get frustrating, but it was just eye-opening to see data, right? Like I've always heard about, the downforce cars and braking and all that, but I've never seen, the telemetry of what they're doing behind the wheel. So that was definitely interesting to see, and how consistent they can be while pushing that hard was pretty wild. So definitely eye-opening. And like I've said, in other interviews, like no matter the result from this whole experience, I'm going to come out of it a better race car driver. I already have, I think, just in the short amount of time I spent in the simulator. So, it's definitely having the support that I do from the teammates at Arrow Mclaren as well as Chevrolet, and drivers who have, raced Indy car stuff before, as well as stock cars. I'll have a lot of people to lean on to soak up a lot of knowledge. So very, very thankful for that.
Wolfgang and then Nathan. Go ahead.
I have two questions again. One for Gavin, one for Mr. Hendrick. Gavin, also NASCAR and IndyCar, totally different cars. Is there anything from the engineering point of view you can take to your advantage into the IndyCar business? And a question to Mr. Hendrick. Before you started the cooperation with Arrow Mclaren, do you ever played with the idea to set up your own IndyCar team besides your NASCAR operation?
I'll start here. Yeah. Obviously very different race cars, but at the end of the day, still run on 4 tires. And really there's a lot in common with any type of racing, I think. Probably the most in common thing is they're all driven by talented human beings, hopefully. So, I think we're already kind of exploring how we can work together to kind of raise the bar in both programs, and that's been quite exciting.
Anytime that you spend time in any racing environment, downforce power, of course we can't do much to our cars. We basically can't, just a little spring shock and tire air, about it. So, but these cars, just watching them, I think the fact that our teams have been together and we've Kyle's watched the Indy race, listened to the radio, and Kevin's going to listen to the radio today and how these guys communicate. So every time we're together, there's something that we see. We'll probably get more out of what they're doing than they're going to get out of what we're doing. But I think the big deal is the cooperation, and when people work together, you can't. Nothing is as good as communication with smart people, and everybody's open-minded. We know what we don't know, and we're not trying to get in the middle of what they know. But like he said, the tech center's right there, and Eric's here today, and Jim, and responsible for building that place. And we've got all the tools and all we need, and we just need a little time in the car. And we're taking this one step at a time, but it's just fun talking to racers and talking about what makes a difference in what they do, and they'll see what we're doing. So the communication is really good, and we'll come away from this, all of us will be better off.
We have time for one, maybe two. Go ahead, Nathan.
Gavin, ahead of this hopeful ROP for Kyle in October, what other simulation plans, tests, whether it be on an oval or a road course, do you guys have in line to get Kyle ready and prepared for that October test?
Yeah, we're building up that plan, so we'll kind of communicate that once it's all kind of finalized. But just in general, trying to maximize everything we can, to get up and running as best as possible, and just sort of dip back into that question as well. As well, Kyle was sort of saying, no matter what the results are out of this, he'll be a better race car driver. Come out of a better race car driver. I love that, because that's kind of how I see it for the team. No matter how we do on this, and we'll put our everything into making it a success, I think we'll come out of it as better race teams, and that's that's the mentality I love and preach. So it's nice to hear that.
Am I right to assume that you guys would probably have to go to a track like Texas or somewhere like that to run a shorter oval test before coming to IMS, or will he be able to come here on the oval straight away?
Come here straight away, but I think we definitely wouldn't rule out other oval testing before coming back here next year. So that's definitely something we're looking at.
Cool, thanks.
One final question. I got a text from someone in the room. Kyle, can you rate your driver's coach?
Tony. Yeah, no, it's honestly, I was very happy to hear. I didn't realize that, Tony was sticking around to be a specialty advisor for Arrow Mclaren, and we have past experience working with each other, being teammates at the Rolex 24-hour with Chip, and Tony and I are the same size. We use the same insert. So we've got, well, he's got way bigger muscles than me, but besides that, we've got, I think, a lot in common. So, no, I'm just, I think he's going to be able to help me a lot. He's a past champion of the event, won a number of IndyCar races. He's just so experienced. So, I'm going to be leaning on him the most for sure. And I think, he's so easy to talk to and work with that, he's gonna help me and get me steered in the right direction very quickly.
Is that the answer you're looking for?
I mean,
No
I might
pressure.
jump in. You were surprised how quick the seat fit went. That's just because you basically just fit Tony.
I sat and Tony said, yeah, just make it like this.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Congratulations on the unveil today, guys.
Thank you.
Countdown certainly on. 287 days to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge, and of course the Coke 600 as well, and the Hendrick 1100. Thanks, everyone.